Matt Jones and the Bobs serve up a mixture of rootsy Americana and folk rock. Your latest 13-track album is self-titled and dropped on June 19th, I believe. And the themes center around emotional essence of life, love, heartbreak, and the human experience. Welcome to the Heart Dealer podcast, Matt.
Thanks so much for having me, Christopher. Really great to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I appreciate you jumping on. So today we're going to do the 513. This is my version of the 411, really to let people kind of get the quick and dirty, the skinny on who you are. 9 questions, 3 layers, 1 guest. We're going to do the mind, the heart, and the soul. I think it's a fun way to just get to know someone more intimately, but quickly.
Sure.
Ready to go?
Sounds great.
All right, man. Let's start with the head. Um,
All right.
What are you what are you obsessed with right now?
Oh, in general or music wise?
In general.
In general, I guess, I am obsessed with music right now. Over the last couple years, I've been writing a lot more tunes. Don't want to cross reference over into too many other questions maybe later, but, to briefly summarize, Matt Jones and the Bobs was formed back in our college days at Radford University in Southwest Virginia. That was over
Mhm.
a decade ago. And, we were a college band doing our thing, getting out in the world, touring, playing songs. We released our debut album back then in 2015. And, you know, we went our separate ways into our own lives and careers. Most of the band ended up becoming entrepreneurs, funnily enough, on the creative side of our brains. So several of us run different industries and different businesses, and it created some flexibility in our lives. And a couple years back, we decided, honestly, I started writing songs again. I took a break from that for a few years, and when I got back into it, the initial plan was for me to actually record a solo acoustic record. And when I got hanging around the old bandmates, we were all flooded with nostalgia and remembered why we all came together and played music together in the first place. So, hence that turned into a full studio record with a
Right.
lot of different original band members and some additional accompaniments, which was awesome. And it lit a fire. I've been writing nonstop ever since, and we're just excited to see putting our music back out in the world and getting back together as a band and playing. So um, I don't sugarcoat it when I say, I literally have been spending all of my free time writing new songs.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. So you're re-obsessed with music, and it's probably not like you lost the obsession, but you've gone hard back into the songwriting, the creation, and the love of birthing these songs.
100%, yes.
All right. What's something that irrationally annoys you?
I guess I'm a very driven person. I wouldn't say I'm a type A personality, but I'm an entrepreneur as well. So, um, I guess whenever this is more of my business aspect, not my music side. I
Mhm.
guess one of my pet peeves would be if, um, you know, you're working with someone closely in any facet of your life, whether that's business or music or anything for that matter. If you're working on something together, a project, etc. And this is not related to anyone in my band, so don't misconstrue that. Um, one of my personal pet peeves, I guess, is if the instructions are clear and we're all on the same page and we're moving ahead, but someone, maybe blatantly doesn't follow that instruction or uh, maybe tries to circumvent the system. I'm all open and a pretty laid back dude and open to flexibility and ideas and creativity, especially being a musician. But in the business world, sometimes that can irk my nerves a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. So if there's a well-laid plan and people are avoiding said plan, it can be frustrating.
It can, yes.
Morning or night? What do you prefer?
I would say I'm probably more of a morning person now. I'm a married man with a 9-year-old daughter, so, we get up. I don't have to set an alarm clock anymore, if you will. My daughter's waking me up at 6:45 every morning, and, I've gotten adjusted to that schedule in my life. I used to be a night owl for sure, but, you know, usually early to bed, early to rise for me at this age.
Yeah, I feel you. And I was also a night owl for the longest time, especially during university. I don't know, it's just what you fall into. But once you strip away, at least for me, once I stripped away booze and pot and snacks and TV shows and whatever other distractions there were, and really focus on mindfulness and the gym, I don't know, there's something so amazing about hitting the gym early. I'm in there sometime between 6 and 7 in the morning, getting a good
Oh, yeah.
sweat on, and then walking out and having the sun hit your face and just feeling that charge for the day. I love it.
Yeah, same here. I'm in the same boat as you. I have a early morning exercise routine. Been on that kick for several years now, and it definitely gets your day going. It shoots those endorphins, and you almost feel you know a lot of people dread working out, but I almost feel worse when I don't. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
totally agree. I have a little pyramid. And I always come back to I mean, I guess it's not the top of the pyramid, it's the bottom. What's the first thing I'm supposed to do is take care of my health. So when I wake up and I'm feeling lazy, I always remind myself, like, dude, that pyramid, you got to do the health first. So if you're not going to go to the gym, then you better take the dog for a walk. You better do some stretching, whatever it is, because
Yeah,
otherwise you're screwing up your routine already.
that's right.
So speaking of routines, food, what is your most controversial food opinion?
I would say I'm pretty open-minded. My wife opened me up to a lot of interesting foods over the years. We've been together 10 years. Um, I was raised in a pretty sheltered, if you will, kind of backwoods Appalachia, very rural area as a child. With great cooks in the family. Uh, but it's all Southern comfort food, right? And
Right.
that's what I was used to. So. Um, for example, I never tried sushi until I was in college. And now that's a family favorite. We have sushi once to twice a week. And one that I guess I've never been sold on, that I just can't seem to adapt to, is Thai food.
Really?
Yep.
Alright, well, why? I'm curious because Thai is so good. It's one of my I wouldn't say favorites, but definitely, like, one of the top ones that I prefer. Why
Interesting.
Thai?
I don't know. Maybe I just had some bad experiences with a couple of local restaurants. And, I did have one. The very first time I tried Thai food, I got food poisoned. So, that immediately left a bad vibe in the back of my brain of
Yeah.
next time I eat Thai, I might be throwing up.
Give it
I've
a
given it a couple more shots, but it's not my fave. But
That's fine, no judgment. It's funny how we can, like, try things and fall in love with things at different times. I've got a blended family now. I got 2 kids of my own, and my partner has 2 kids, and it's crazy to see the food preferences that they both have because 'cause they've grown up differently. Uh, and even my fiancée, like, she's, mid-30s. 2 years ago was the first time she's ever tried blue cheese and red wine, and she tried them together, and she had that, like, moment of epiphany where she's like, "Oh my god, how have I lived my entire life without red wine and blue cheese?" And then we're starting to have platters all the time with crackers and all these things. So it just happens when it happens. I'm hoping that you have a, Thai vibe at some point.
I hope so too. Maybe I'll be proven wrong in the near future. I hope so.
All right, man. Last one for the head, and then we're gonna get a little bit more deep with the heart.
Okay.
What's something you've stopped caring about?
I guess maybe the perception of the way the world or others view me, whether that be in business or my art. I think early on, in my music, I probably thought a little bit too far into, is this going to cater, per se to a certain audience, or how will this resonate? Um, so I've stopped caring about that as much and started caring more about the sentimental value to me of the individual song. Um, and there is quite a bit of variability on this most recent record that shows some of that versatility of that we're more so focused on the meaning behind the song itself, not necessarily how it's going to always be perceived. And hopefully, it does resonate and helps someone in some way.
Mhm.
On the business side as well, being an entrepreneur, you know, I think in business, if you start becoming successful in some way, shape, or fashion, others can judge you for that. They'll try to tear you down. So I got used to hearing some untrue rumors
Mhm.
locally. Nothing crazy out there in the world, but you got to have thick skin, and just understand if you're doing the right thing and you're running your business the right way, or you're creating art that means something to you, that's all that really matters.
I love that. That's perfect. All right, so that wraps that section. We're gonna go into the heart before finishing off with the soul. So I tend to do a little bit more research and then give you a heavier question here. So the
Okay.
band took a break in 2015, and you set this up nicely for me with that first response.
Sure.
Members pursuing their individual careers, business ventures, and more. Sounds like joined the fatherhood team around that time too. 10 years later, 2024, you guys were reunited, back to making and releasing music, performing, etc. Self-titled album talks about heartbreak, death, struggle, and the perseverance needed to keep going. So, what I want to ask you, what I want to talk about is, what did you learn in the decade that you took off from the band? How have you grown? Where are you now versus then?
Yeah, it's very interesting and unique way to look at it, and a unique storyline. So, oddly, I will kind of defer it to a specific song on the record called
Sure.
Penitentiary Road. That is one that is about death and, overcoming or finding closure through that process. It's about my childhood best friend, who I grew up with, went all through grade school, graduated high school together. We went to college together. Um, and actually, my first year in college, I withdrew. Let's just say I liked to party a little too hard back then, per se. And I had to go home and sort some things out. It was he that convinced me to come back
Mm,
and finish my degree. And it was in that year that I was away back home. Um, he actually met all of the band. He fell in with a giant group of musicians at the university. He was a musician himself, and he kept coming to visit me on the weekends. And he'd say, "Dude, you got to come back. You got to come back. They're gonna love your songs. You got to meet these guys. I feel like you guys could form a band." And sure enough, that's what I did. And I remember meeting our lead guitar player, Pat, first in Radford, and we went into his attic space, not too different than my room here. And I played him 3 songs that were off of our original record, and we just it's an unexplainable connection we formed instantly. Um, it's interesting because he's classically trained. He grew up playing metal, but he has a love for singer-songwriter folk music, and he's also really big into Jackson Browne, folks like that. So we just connected, and that formed the band. Many years later, the year we actually broke apart is the year my good friend Ben passed away.
mm,
And he left us too early. It was a unfortunate car accident. So we had a very unique extended community and very large extended friendship group I feel like we're very lucky and blessed to be able to say that. So on the weekend of his passing, we were supposed to play in DC and he was going to come with us to that gig. And instead, we brought about 50 people to my house to mourn his passing together. And that was very special. Um, but after that, it was kind of ironic that he brought the band together. And when he passed, that's when we decided to go our separate ways. It's very strange how that works. And part of his passing, I struggled with for years. And part of that, in honesty, is why I laid the guitar down and almost hit a writer's block, if you will. And I thought, maybe I just don't have anything to say anymore. Where I used to be able to churn and burn new tunes. I could sit down with a guitar, come up with 5 new songs in a day. I went for, almost a 5-year period without writing a song. And this song came to me, and I had always wanted to write something to honor him, kind of, in our relationship. And when I put that together, that is kind of what sparked me wanting to write more. And then I just slowly eased my way back into it and then shared that song with the group. And obviously, we all shed some tears over that and in our remembrance of him. But I think we did him right, by the song. And I know he would be ecstatic to know we're all back together and that we're playing music again. And we actually
Mhm.
dedicated the album in his memory as well.
I appreciate you sharing that. It's tough to distill 10 years and a person's life down into a soundbite on a interview like this, but it sounds like you almost hit a block because of his death, that something was taken out of you, and it took you quite a while to mourn that and mourn him. And once you started to clear that grief, the emotion, things then came back, and
Yeah.
you were able to reflect on maybe his death and how he impacted your life, and therein lies the re-spark of the music? Tell me if I'm way off.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you're spot on, and you know, writing that song, just helped me remember, why we were all playing music in the
Mm,
first place. Even if it was just for ourselves. We've all had hardships in life, and a lot of our songs talk about those hardships, death being one. And while someone out there in the world might not be able to relate specifically to the moments I discuss in that song, they can relate to losing someone very close and that special to them. So I hope it does mean something to somebody the way it did to us.
So, to summarize the question, it sounds like 10 years of heavy emotional exploration and growth emotionally once you've accepted the fact that he was lost, and from there, a return to the music, to the thing that keeps you going.
That's it, yes, and in the meantime, I started a real estate business. I never did tell you what type of entrepreneur I was, but obviously that kept me busy, has kept
Yeah.
me busy. But that's done really well for me and my family. We're blessed on that front too. And I think one day something just clicked in my brain, whether it be the song Penitentiary Road I wrote about Ben, or a collection of those tunes we decided to include on that album. It, reminded me that while you can be successful in things and you can even be happy in your career, which I have been. Not everyone can say that, so I'm very fortunate. Um, but it still doesn't always resolve your underlying urge or desire to do what you truly love, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that was always writing songs.
Well, I'm happy you found your way back to it, or it found you. Keep the music coming. Before we jump into the soul, now that the heart is concluded, Have you ever had people say that you look like Robert Shaw, the actor from Jaws that plays Quint?
That this would be the first time.
Maybe it's the hat, but I
Could
think
be.
that you should check out a photo of him just to see what I'm talking about.
That's awesome.
All right, The Soul, my friend. These are rapid fire. Wrap us up. What are you
Okay.
still trying to get better at?
Mm, I think I'm trying to get better at songwriting in general. Um, I think I don't want to tease too much too early, but obviously we're in process of recording our third full studio album now. So I'm super excited about that, and a lot of energy and time and dedication went into these next grouping of tunes. I think historically, as a younger musician, I just focused on writing songs and having fun playing music with a group of friends. Now I'm actually, I wouldn't say over criticizing myself for being overly critical to myself in my lyrics, but I've developed a new process. It used to be I had a strange process because I'm not trained, so I don't know theory. I play everything by ear. Grew up as a natural singer in a family that kind of had that natural raw gift to be able to sing
Mhm.
and play instruments. Um, and oddly, the rest of the band is trained. So, you know, um, I guess in just honing my gift, if you will, and trying to develop it further, where in the past I would sit down with acoustic guitar, write a chord progression, mumble a melody, mumble words, and start forming sentences until I liked what that sentence said. My band thought I was crazy because back then I never wrote my lyrics down. It was only up here. And
Wow.
I think it was like 2 years in before they finally convinced me to write all my lyrics down. Now that is kind of flip flopped. So I've taken a different approach on my new writing and my new tunes. I actually still usually write the guitar first. But I actually write the lyrics now in a separate room or away from the guitar. I'll come back. How does this cadence, how does this phrasing, how does this melody fit? And that gives me the opportunity to really focus on the lyrics and what I really want to say. Um, and I haven't given myself too much hardship about having to go back and revise those lyrics, which is something I didn't used to do as well. I've also realized that it helps not to procrastinate on certain
Yeah.
songs. Like you can get stuck on a song for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Now I kind of push it through and I'm like, hey, this might spark a different creative idea. It may, you know, inspire a new song you wouldn't have written if you hadn't have moved on. You can always come back to the lyrics um, and touch up later. So that's definitely something that I've worked on and changed.
Cool.
Um,
What do you know now that you wish you'd known sooner?
being a husband, a father, a business owner, an aspiring musician, that's a lot to juggle and balance. And, you know, at an earlier age, I think, you feel like you're invincible, you can do anything. So, all of those things are hard and they come with their own hardships along the way. But I think if I knew something earlier, it's not going to be easy, right? It's not going to be what you think it's going to be. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be very difficult, but it's going to make you a stronger person and it's all going to be worth it.
Amen. All right, send us home. My favorite question. What does choosing love mean to you?
Mm, choosing love is an easy thing for me. I feel like you should always gravitate towards that in all facets. I'm not a pessimistic person and I don't really understand that mentality. I have some colleagues and friends that are. I like to instill that positive energy in them and show love towards them. I think it's very helpful that I grew up in such a small rural country environment in the backwoods hills of Appalachia. Literally, where I went to high school, there was one stoplight. So you can imagine the type of environment I grew up in.
Yeah.
But, very close family, so close to my family. While I have one sibling, my brother's lives far away from me, but we're very close still. And, and in our age, being married men, having children, we're still connected in that way. And, I just think, that it came natural to me as I aged when I met people and could show gratitude and love because of the way I was raised, and those morals and values were instilled in me at an early age. Um, it's not as easy for some people, but doesn't mean that they still don't have that in their heart. You just got to show that to receive it.